You are listening to Bigfoot Club Podcast, Cryptid Sports Entertainment for life.
Hey everybody, Bigfoot Bob. I'm here with my nephew, Skookum Steven, Season 7, Episode 12. Steven, say what's up.
What's up? And it's the Bigfoot Club.
The Bigfoot Club. Did I not say that?
You didn't say it, but it's okay. It's all right. How are you?
I'm great. We got a house full of nieces and nephews right now.
We got twins.
Yeah, we got two sets of twins here today, and we're trying to entertain them, and then we're doing this show while we're entertaining them. So
We're taking a break.
yeah, we're taking a break.
We're taking a break.
So
Yeah.
okay. So are you excited today?
I am excited.
Today, we have in the club today, Moon Girl, Enchantress of the Paranormal. Welcome to the club.
Hi, Moon Girl, Mistress of the Paranormal.
Oh, is it real? I'm sorry.
It's okay to correct us.
Close enough.
I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Hey, because I originally heard you were on the Ghoul Gals Paranormal, I think like a year ago, right?
Yeah, shout out to the Jens. I love the girls, Jen and Jen. Jen and Jen.
Yep.
We love them too. So I think I logged into that one, and I was on that one most of the time. I think I asked you, I go, hey, do you mind coming on to the show? And you said, yeah. And, long story short, we finally got you on. So I'm super excited about that.
We're here.
Yeah, we're here
right now.
So
That's what counts. Well, thank you so much for having me on, guys. I appreciate it very much.
because I think you are the first paranormal person that we're interviewing this year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yay.
Because that's our background. Our background is cryptids, and I was a Bigfoot researcher. Then I was a case director for a paranormal group. So I like diving into both. So, but we're super excited to have you because, I know we talked off show, but can you tell our listeners how you got started?
I've been seeing and feeling things since I was a very, very young child, and I suffered a lot of sleep paralysis. So I would tell my parents, hey, there's something going on. And of course they would dismiss me and say it's a dream, but there's so many dreams, right? Where I realized that there was something going on, and I would see shadow people. I would see spirits and communicate with them since I was a very young child. And here we are. But I would say that there was a big turning point. I was 11 and just normal, 11-year-old girl. But when I turned 12, it was like a light switch. I just was hit with so many memories, and I just fell really deep into a lot of the paranormal stuff, even more so, and divination work. It was like I was remembering because I took it on really quickly. Me and one of my dear best friends, Michelle, we were kids, and it was a long time ago because I'm 40, right? So it was very hard for us to try to get like tarot cards and stuff. So we'd make our own little tarot cards out of paper and, write the names on it, the fool, the devil, whatever it is, right? The star. And we'd make our own little Ouija board palettes, and we would do our own paranormal investigation as best we could, being, children.
Wow.
And so it led to many other things.
Do you think that whenever you were going through puberty that it kind of like propelled it more, or kind of gave it like more power?
I do think so. And a lot of people, because I know a lot of mediums and psychics, and it's like they're walking into their psychic abilities even more, growing into them more.
Right. Wow. That's amazing.
But I mean, I was already having things prior to that. I'm talking about as young as I can remember, sleep paralysis and those type of things, and seeing things that, I thought were there, but really weren't. But then, as I got older, it got, I guess, more vivid to me. And I realized, this is not just dreams. These are not just things, visions. I mean, I'm really communicating with other people who are not alive any longer.
Do you, I wanted to ask, Do you see things, or do you hear them, or do you feel them?
Oh, yes. Now, a lot of people have different types of abilities. Some people only see things, some things they only hear things, or whatever, or depends on what they hear, whatever. But I definitely see things, hear things. There's a lot of clairs, clairvoyant, clairaudience. It's a long list, and I was lucky enough to have quite a few of them. And it's very normal for psychics or mediums, whatever, to have more than just one clair. They can resonate with one or many or all.
Okay.
Now, are you able to tell? I mean, I'm pretty sure you can tell, but are you able to tell what is a good spirit or a bad spirit?
Yes, but you see, let's kind of like dial it back a little bit. Now, there's a difference between a spirit and something that's a little bit darker, something more demonic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, some spirits can be mischievous, or you want to call them the poltergeist. But then there's something that's a little bit darker, which is more demonic, and you could definitely tell the difference between that. It's like really. It gives you a lot of chills, and you can instantly feel that I'm not dealing with just a spirit. I'm dealing with something completely different. It's a completely different animal.
Right. Okay. I know we've had a median on before. He was out of California, and he would, his name was Brett Carson.
Yep.
And he used to tell us that he had to put like a mental block, like when he was ready, like to go to bed or rest for the evening, that he would put like a mental block, like a door with a sign that says "Come back tomorrow" or something like that. And so otherwise, he said when he was younger that he was getting bothered all kinds of throughout the night, getting woken up by spirits and stuff. So do you find do you get bombarded with that sometimes?
Absolutely. And I do agree with him. You have to kind of put like a little medium between you guys to let you, no pun intended, like a little door between you guys. Like, hey, yeah, I'm off the clock. Okay, you're gonna check in with me tomorrow. And I think that it's really important to do that because you're going throughout your life. You're going grocery shopping and you feel something, you see something. I mean, I want to help. I'm happy to help, but we can't always do that. And also, we have to respect the other person because say there's actually someone who's, you're walking and you see a real person, but there's a spirit connecting to them. I mean, if I go up to them, which I have done, and I really shouldn't. They might not be very open to that. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Luckily, I've had good experiences, but I'm like, maybe I should not always just, do that because some people are not ready or they don't believe. And so, yeah, you have to be respectful.
I know once when I was younger, I don't think I told you this story the last time we talked, but when I was younger, I worked at Baylor Hospital in Dallas. And it was
very haunted. Hospitals were one of the most haunted places.
And my office was right next to the morgue. And,
wow.
And like every time I would go out to go take care of something or go eat or go upstairs to go talk to somebody else, they were always wheeling the body in or a body out. I go, good Lord. And there was a couple of times that I saw somebody walking down the hallway from my office and they look confused or lost. And then I would get out and I would go see, I go, let me go help them. Cause I was really into customer service and I'd go out and I would ask somebody walking the opposite way. I said, hey, did you see that person? They go, I didn't see anybody. And I go, okay, I'm not going to ask any more questions. I'm just going to go back into my office and I'm just going to work. So, I mean, there's a couple of times where I've run into that. And I know, Steven, right. You've seen some stuff like,
yeah, more, more than I care. But yeah, I mean, I saw like whenever you're in the hospital,
right?
Saw someone in the room next to you with wearing a hospital gown, and they were sitting next to their bed, and they looked confused.
Right.
They looked concerned and going back, and I was like, wait, what did I just see? And then go back, they're gone.
Right.
So that's yeah.
Because I know we talked before about because both of us died and came back, right?
Yeah.
And so I kind of feel sometimes like it's not always there for me. Like it comes on, I can't turn it on or I can't turn it off. it's either there or it's not. And I've run into that a couple of times. And I know I don't think you have that problem. I think it's always on for you. That's what I'm taking from our conversations. So
Uh-huh.
is that assessment correct? Do you think?
Yes. But also, when you do cross over, when you pass, even if it's for a little bit or whatever, you come back, you're in between worlds. So you're able to kind of connect with the other side and still connect to this side. So, that's probably what occurred with you.
So I was I was in the hospital. I coded for 7 minutes, and I had 3 nurses that would tag team me. They were doing CPR on me for 7 minutes, brought me back. I was in a coma for 2 days. I was in a respirator for 8. And when I woke up from this coma, I was in the room, and I was right next to the nurses station. Then I could hear them having a conversation about about their weekend, because it was on the weekend. And then I would fall asleep, and then I'd wake up again for like hours later. It probably wasn't, but I'd hear the same conversation, and I go, "What the hell?" And I was scared, and I couldn't talk because I had a respirator in my mouth. I was tied down. It was nobody there in there with me, and I was freaking out. I go, "Why am I hearing this stuff twice?" And like I wasn't able to talk to anybody till like 8 days later about it. But I was terrified by that. But anyway.
Yeah, that sounds very scary.
So, because I know you had where you died and came back. Do you want to talk about that, or are you able to talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay.
I had a little accident. No, and I passed, and what I told you was I didn't see what everyone calls God, Jesus, angels, anything like that. I didn't see any demons. I didn't see hell. I didn't see heaven.
Right.
What I did see was I know I was somewhere up in the sky, where I felt like it was somewhere up in the sky, but very white. Everything was very white. And I'm not talking about clouds or anything. It was just the whitest I've ever seen anything. It almost felt like I was in a box, because I looked up and it just looked endlessly white. So I didn't know where that would end. And then I looked down, the same thing, just white. And I was actually scared to walk, because I'm like, what if I don't know where I'm walking? What if I fall and, whatever happens? I don't know. And that's what I got. It was very silent. It was very quiet. Again, I didn't see any past loved ones or anything like that. And then out of nowhere, I see this group of people coming in, and they were getting baskets, and whatever in the baskets, what I saw them doing was getting eggs. There was eggs in there, and there was normal white eggs and then a gold egg. And for the ones who were getting a gold egg, they looked very excited. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, I guess they're good. The other ones look very disappointed. Then I feel like, someone's calling me, but with their hand, they're not really talking to me. So I'm kind of just going there, and then I get this basket, and I honestly didn't even care. I was like, I don't know whatever. I got one, and then I happened to have a gold one. And I remember waking up. So what I take from that now is, those were the people who were getting a chance to come back, I'm assuming.
Right.
And that's what it was. But I did not, people always ask me about this. And I'm like, I did not see heaven. I did not see hell. I didn't see Jesus, God, whatever, I didn't see any of that stuff. Nobody received me.
That's what I took from that, from your interpretation of that, is that the golden egg meant like you had a pass to come back. So, because I know whenever I pass, I didn't see any of that either. It just felt like a dream to me, like I was asleep, and I just woke up. And like whenever I woke, I didn't know I had passed, but it was really interesting whenever we were talking off show about that. Whenever you were explaining that to me, I said, "Man, that's it." Was there what was the time frame that you were past? You were out.
I have no idea. I know it was a few minutes. It was a long time ago. I was 14.
Wow.
Yeah, I was 14 years old. But it just kind of, what still sticks in my head is the whole white. Like it looked like I was trapped inside some kind of box.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually scared of that, because I didn't know where I was, and I didn't know I had passed. So I was like, where am I? It was like if you wake up from a dream and you're somewhere else.
Right.
You have no idea where you were. You fell asleep, and now you wake up and you're in some kind of box. It was actually quite scary. And then not wanting to walk further because I didn't know if I was going to fall. I didn't know what else was down there. So I think that's what freaked me out more out of everything. And then realizing that, okay, I passed and here I am. But yeah, that will always stay with me. Um,
Do you think that being in this box, and I'm just spitballing here, do you think that
yeah.
box it represented that they wanted you to stay in a certain area, and then they wanted to bring you back, and then after that, when you came back, did you get amplified even more?
I feel like I did get amplified more. I wouldn't necessarily say that they wanted to keep me in a box. I don't really know what to make of that, honestly. It
Yeah,
was just like where I am. But no, I don't feel like I was, forced to be in a box or they just didn't want me to move elsewhere. But um, I don't know.
that's creepy a little bit. So
You know what it reminded me of?
what?
A kidnapping, no.
No, it reminded me of the OA.
Okay.
Remember when she passes over and she is in a white room,
Yes.
and it could be a box room. I don't know, but it was like she crossed over to that realm or whatever, or another dimension. It's definitely weird. The eggs is it's weird. It's like, because when you think of an egg, what is that, like a rebirth?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
something. When you said gold egg, I was like, oh, Willy Wonka. Like,
To
Yeah.
me
Ticket.
it symbolizes prize.
yeah.
To me it does.
Now, did you feel
No, but
anything?
not everybody wants to come back. So it's all about perspective. You may think, yes, it's a
Right.
prize, I get to come back. Some people, I'm sure, didn't want to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so it's again, like I said, it's all about perspective. It also kind of reminded me a little bit of this movie I saw once called like The Cube or something like that, where somebody wakes up and they're like in a cube and they don't know what. That's kind of the feeling I have now looking back. I'm like, it felt like I was just. Did y'all ever see that movie? It's like a sci-fi movie, The Cube or
I've
something.
heard
like that.
I've heard of it, but
Sounds
I haven't
familiar.
Seen it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Like somebody wakes up in a little cubicle or something, and obviously the one I was, happened with me, it was very large, but still, it's kind of like not knowing what happened to you, and just you see these four walls.
Wow. Well, somebody definitely didn't want you to leave. They wanted to like bring you back. So I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Likewise.
So
Definitely.
Steven, you had a question?
Yeah. Whenever you were in that trance or whatever it was, did you feel anything? Like, did you feel your feet? Did you feel when you were walking? Like, were you touching the floor, carpet? Did you smell
No.
anything?
I didn't smell anything and I didn't feel anything. Everything was so like far apart. Do you understand? Like I couldn't, there was no wall for me to touch. In other words, it'd be endless whiteness on all sides. And when I walked, I mean, I didn't really feel anything. It was, I wouldn't say like, cliche walking on clouds, but I didn't feel anything. And it was not carpeted. It was just,
Right.
all I could see was like a very large white room.
You
Mhm.
just knew you were walking, but you couldn't tell if you were or not. But you just knew it.
I was terrified to walk, but I
Yeah.
walked anyways because
Right.
I'm a rebel, even
Mhm.
even in death. Heyo.
Yeah.
YOLO, right?
Yellow, right? Literally. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Well, no, because like we're back, so maybe we'll not YOLO for us.
Yeah. That was, I don't even know how there's a word for that.
Right? YOLO, YOLO? I don't know.
Yeah.
Double YOLO?
Yeah. Double YOLO.
I wanted to ask you also, do you find after you if you've gone through all this stuff and all the spirits that you see, do you feel called to like assist people or help them whenever they're going through their paranormal experiences?
Yes, for numerous reasons. One, I'll start this. My family grew up, I grew up in a family and they were very Catholic, they were like practicing Catholic sort of once in a while when it was convenient, right? But, coming from a Mexican family, Latino family, they would be Catholic. And I didn't really have anybody I could talk to about this. It was very dismissive, or, you know, you're not seeing this, or blah, 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 blah. And I want to help people who are, especially the younger generations that don't really have anybody to talk to, and kind of be like a beacon for them, or a mentor, to
Yeah.
let them know that there's someone there who does understand and does believe them and doesn't think they're crazy.
Wow.
That's yeah.
What?
Because trust me, I would get pushed into my room like, no, you're gonna sleep here. I'm terrified. I'm scared. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
So I'd be there in my bed as a kid, scared out of my mind that something, and it wasn't always a spirit. Sometimes it was something worse that was gonna, what is it gonna do to me? And I remember being fearful of that. So I would never want somebody else to feel that way, especially as a very young child.
So what is your weapon to if you come across that, and then they obviously they want to harm you because they notice that you're different, and they're going to try to take advantage of that. Well, what is your, like, I guess, go to, like, weapon? Like, is it mentally, or do you stand your ground?
What
How does
skill
that
set?
how does that work?
It's a combination of everything, and also I do believe in cleanses, limpias, which
Mhm.
again, I've noticed a lot of paranormal investigators don't always do a cleanse after they're done investigating, which I think it's very important for you to do so, or spiritual cleansing bath, those type of things,
Yeah.
and if you want to pray to your deities or angels, whatever you believe, gods, goddesses, whatever you believe in, that always helps as well. But I think from all these years, it's kind of like I have enough experience to know when I'm going to be in danger and try to avoid it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Versus someone who may be very green and may not understand or be aware of their surroundings. I think you always have to be very aware of your surroundings and know your monster, know your
Yeah.
enemy.
That's
And you can avoid, hardship later on.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask too, is if you were going to train someone who doesn't know how to handle that type of power, do you, like, what would you tell them, like, which areas to avoid? Obviously I'm thinking cemeteries, hospitals, what would you tell
Well,
them?
someone who is like a psychic, or you're saying somebody who wants to embrace this, or someone who's
No,
fearful of it?
well, like you said, know your surroundings. Like,
Yeah.
what areas would you tell them to avoid? Like, because I'm assuming obviously that's overwhelming and that could drain you. Like,
Overwhelmed. I mean, some people love seeing ghosts, which I am one of them. I run
mhm.
to the arms of danger. I run to the darkest places. So I'm all for going. But if you're saying someone who is scared and doesn't want to encounter any of those things, I wouldn't necessarily say a cemetery. I don't think cemeteries are really haunted. A lot of people want to run with that, and I get it. There's dead bodies or whatever
Mhm.
there, but I think it's a very peaceful, beautiful place. And I think a lot of times cemeteries, it's not so much haunted. I think you will pick up a spirit here and there, but in my case, like the cemeteries that are around where I live, it's more the case that you might run into something darker, only because a lot of people go practice witchcraft there and summon something. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Versus
Yes.
it actually being a spirit that died and wants to linger there. You will find some here and there, but it's not haunted the way people want to make it seem. I think it's quite beautiful, and I love going to cemeteries and just chilling out and looking around and appreciating the beautiful tombstones. And I actually really love really old, ugly, I say ugly, but I mean, very unkept cemeteries. I think there's a beauty to the ugliness, I guess, if you want to go there. But again, I don't think that they're very haunted. I will say that places like hospitals are immensely haunted for several reasons. One, obviously, people passed.
Mhm.
And then I would say that it's very imprinted because, like, the person who was at the hospital, obviously, some of them stayed there for a very long time, say they were battling the disease. So there's a lot of trauma there. And I'm not even talking about physical trauma. I'm like, emotional trauma
Mental, yeah.
from being there. And also, the family members who go, see their, loved one suffering. All that is imprinted energy that you leave on all those walls, and it penetrates and it lingers and stays there. So a lot of people don't really understand that there's a haunting where something's haunted. There is a imprint, like I said, and there's like a curse or possession if you want to go there. So for instance, say there was a little girl, I always use this example, who maybe had very not very nice parents, okay, and she had maybe like a toy bear or something. Her parents were very abusive, whatever. One day they take her bear away and they sell it, at a thrift shop or give it to a thrift shop. Somebody else goes and picks it up. Then they take that bear to their home, and that person starts getting like paranormal activity. Things start moving, things feel very somber, things start going wrong. Now the child did not die, so you cannot say that bear is haunted, because it's not haunted.
Right.
But all that ugly energy, all the abuse, all that trauma, like imprinted into that bear, and then the person who has it now is experiencing all this stuff. Do you understand?
Yes, I think you explained that better than any other paranormal person I have ever met.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
and that's my
I'll
mind just.
I'll make this really quick. There was one time where I was with a lady that she was a psychic as well, and we went to go investigate this one lady's house. She was having poltergeist stuff happening, and it turned. She had thought it was a ghost there, and that psychic believed that there was a little girl that was staying there, like I think 2 weeks, and then would go with her father, then come back. That she was going through a lot of trauma, and then she was a teenager too, so she had the puberty, and then the trauma, and then was a girl, and stuff was being moved, like blankets, dishes off the cupboard, cabinets opening, and so she said, "This is not a haunting. This is the girl's energy," and I had never run into to that before. I said, "Wow, to me, that was amazing." So when you explained it the way you did, it instantly brought me back to that story or that incident that I was doing like an investigation on. So that was amazing.
Oh, well, I'm glad I was able to explain that.
It was great. It was great.
Yeah, I was not expecting that as a.
Yeah, because like whenever I first got into paranormal stuff, I know that there was a couple of times people would ask me, like I didn't have all the knowledge that like say someone like you have on how to cleanse a house, and so they asked me, well, how do I get rid of it? And I said, I go, live your life, have parties here, have a wedding here, supersede that energy out, and just live and be happy. So that's what I would say to people, and I now that I know more about cleansing and helping other people and stuff like that, so I kind of go that route now. But anyway,
but what I really hate when people, I've seen like paranormal shows and someone has is experiencing paranormal activity or phenomenon in their home, and like viewers and other people say, well, why don't you just move? I mean, it's not that easy. Not everyone has the means to move. You know what I mean?
Yep.
A lot goes into that, so you can't just pick up and move.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, I'm sure a lot of people would like to, but you can't. It's not that easy. A lot of things go into that. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's not even the place it's haunted. It's a person there is sensitive and is able to pick these things up.
Yes.
Other times we have hitchhikers where they do want to attach to you, and no matter where the hell you go, there's gonna be somebody there. So what do you do then? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I wanted to ask you this question. It's gonna lead into another question, but
Okay.
what are your thoughts on, because I'm a Bigfoot researcher. Steven's been with me in the field. So if you listen to our podcast, or anybody listens to our podcast, we always push that Bigfoots in theory have this ability to do infrasound to scare people. And so people who go through infrasound it's similar to when people get bombarded with EMF. So they have a lot of the same characteristics. Sometimes people get, nauseated, they get lightheaded, they get dizzy, they get fearful. And a lot of these characteristics are similar to me. And so I know you don't delve into that. So say for example, somebody passes away and say on electrical right away. And that has energy there from those power lines. Do you think that feeds, like whenever someone passes or say has a traumatic incident, and that energy is just harnessed there? What are your thoughts on that?
Are you talking about with Bigfoot, or we're talking about ghosts now?
It could be both. I mean, if someone, because I've been in the field and I've run across paranormal stuff right when I'm looking for Bigfoot, and I run into this stuff and it's near a power line. And I just think,
well, I mean, that's energy.
right.
I mean, it's run through energy.
So, okay.
So I mean, I would say that's definitely a yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I can tell you, like, I've been in the field and we were in Kiamichi, Oklahoma. And we were putting up cameras like way in the woods, close to electrical right away, gas right away.
Mm-hmm.
And then we caught on the on one of the audios, like at 3 a.m, a little girl saying "Mama," and it was middle of the woods. Middle of the woods at 3 a.m. And so we would catch stuff like that. I go, oh my God. So I always believe that, that this is where Bigfoot and the paranormal kind of cross over a little bit, and, where they use similar energies. And because there's also stories of like Bigfoots being attracted to cemeteries. I don't know why, they just are. And there's people who have sightings near cemeteries all the time. So
it's kind of, well,
I've never heard a story about a Bigfoot being in cemeteries, but obviously I'd like to hear that sometime. But we see them at wooded areas and all this stuff, and there's so many. I feel that there's so many portals in wooded areas. So to me, it totally makes sense that they're there and they're spotted there, and then they magically disappear and we never catch them.
Right.
And there's a lot of correlation between Bigfoot and aliens. There's been a lot of spottings of UFOs, and then they happen to spot Bigfoot somewhere around that area at the same time.
Yeah.
A lot of this happened back in like the 70s in Pennsylvania, which we've talked about. So I think they're also interdimensional beings. So yeah, that's what I take on it.
On our last show, episode 11, we were talking about an area like in Kiamichi again that I used to go research a lot. And Steven's been with me in this area, and we've walked down this one area, and it's like they call it the mountains, but it's like a steep hill. But anyway, there was this guy that owned that land, so he was making a dam there for the residents there that lived there to go fishing at a spillway. Right next to that dam was this field, and it didn't have any weeds in it, because this whole area is just full of weeds and brush and overgrowth and everything. So this one field was probably like 80 by 50 yards. It was just had like really pristine grass on it, and there was no weeds growing out of it. There was no trees coming out of it. And the people in that area were talking about that this is the area where aliens land. And that area was just always pristine. And there's a bunch of Bigfoot research, like a bunch of Bigfoot sightings in that area. And so I would hear the story from other people, like on that mountain, saying, "Goes, yeah, this is where all the UFOs land." And it's just like that grass just stays green all the time just for them. I don't know why, but it just did. And so it was just kind of odd how we had that story like way back in like the early 2000s. So, but anyway, but I just wanted to tell you that because I don't think I talked to you about that.
I mean, there's so many interesting theories about Bigfoot being interdimensional, or if they're even aliens themselves, or if aliens created them to be their helpers. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I really do feel they're interdimensional, just like, like duendes and stuff like that. There's a lot of like cryptics, do I feel, that are kind of that way of or what are they called? Elementals kind of thing.
Yeah, there was this time where I think you were with me, Stephen. We were in the what was that Bigfoot festival, that first annual one? It was in I'm trying to think of the town. I can't think of it.
I can't think of it either.
But it was in that town. So we were interviewing people with Todd Partain. And Todd was this one guy that we were with that he was talking to people. And this one guy had a story of this Bigfoot walking through Oklahoma. And that as it was crossing the street or crossing the dirt road, he says a portal opened up. And inside the portal, he could see snow and he could see like wintergreen trees or pine trees. And this Bigfoot stepped in it and the portal closed. And at that time, I was at that time I've changed, but at that time I was a flesh and blood guy. That's all I believed in. So when he told me that story, I kind of scoffed. But as I talked to more people, like in the paranormal and more people in Bigfoot, I've grown more open to all that stuff. And so,
is it Hanoba?
Yeah, Hanobi. It was the first annual Hanobi Bigfoot conference.
Yep.
That was what, in 2004, 2005, maybe?
No, 2007, I think.
Okay, 2007. I was way off. Anyway, so
a couple years.
But yeah, I've heard stories like that all the time. So,
I mean, listen, a lot of people have gone missing in the forest, and we're never seen again. Yes, there's the possibility of them getting hurt, and then the animals take off with the remains, but there's been so many where they're never heard of again. They never find any, not even their clothes, any kind of evidence of them ever even being there. They went somewhere. Obviously, there's some who passed, whatever. But that's why I really feel like there's so many different portals out in the forest.
Yeah, I think. Have you ever watched David Pilatus's 411?
I think.
He does these documentaries about national forests and how people disappear out there. And he did one on just like these kids, how they just disappeared. And then he did a second one where he didn't use the word Bigfoot, but the stories that he was doing on the second one it had Bigfoot traits in it. Like whenever they were going in the woods, they heard like a scream. And then they would like separate, and then this other hunter just disappeared without a trace.
Who separates in the woods?
Yeah, seriously.
Like, I'm sorry, you're taking a dump next to me. I don't. Sorry.
So, but yeah, there's stories, and I've even heard another podcast of another person, another psychic talking to that person, saying that they believe that the Bigfoots with the red eyes are Bigfoots who get possessed. And they would open a portal and just grab somebody. So she'd always say that you'd have to go in pairs. So if someone grabs you, you can at least have someone there to hold on to you as you get pulled into a portal. So,
or go with them.
Yeah, to me, that's terrifying.
That is.
Because Bigfoot alone is terrifying. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say Bigfoot alone is terrifying.
But
and a portal, that's beyond terrifying.
Yeah.
And then like the sounds they make, the howling, you can't, some of them obviously are other animals, but like for instance, like wolves, they usually howl for quite a while. And some of the evidence that they said is Bigfoot noises, they kind of howl, but it's short. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not there. It's not, anything like that. It's just kind of like you can't really pin it down on a certain animal because that's not their MO or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been in the woods, times where I got screamed at, and it's like it was so loud. It was so loud, it vibrated my chest, and it was not close, but still vibrated my chest. I said, man, that's. Whatever that is has a pretty big lung capacity to emit that scream or howl. So I don't know. What do you think about Bigfoots having spirits or ghosts, or like a Bigfoot dies and it could have spirits?
If the Bigfoot dies, his spirit lingers?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's a spirit.
Okay.
I would say there's energy remains. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Because I don't think, again, because I'm saying I feel like Bigfoot's interdimensional and is associated with aliens. So to me, it's like they don't necessarily have, I would say, a soul like we do. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
With interdimensional beings. So I feel like there's, there wouldn't be like a ghost. Like when we die, there's a possibility that there's a ghost of us. Just with other animals, there's been, sightings of like ghost cats or dogs or something like that. But this is something completely different where I don't think you would have per se a ghost thing, but there's something similar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that take on it.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying that maybe they're in the light spectrum, or maybe the frequency, like a higher frequency, and they just can travel in this area, in this realm, and that's it? Or I'm just, I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. So
Well, like I said, I feel like they can travel where the hell they want to go to, anywhere they want to go to.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Obviously, they want to stay somewhere where they can be hidden, and the forest is a perfect place to go and hide out there and not be that bothered. But obviously you have to take in consideration that there is, apes out there, bigger apes, and even like we're talking about cryptozoology. I mean, there's other animals too that haven't been discovered and have been breeding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's still different than what we would say a Bigfoot is. So I get why people would confuse those or think they had a sighting of Bigfoot and it really wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was like some sort of ape or whatever. But then you really have to pay attention because, like the Bigfoot, they have those really long arms. They're really big. Some people have mistaken them for it's a hiker with a coat or something.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to evaluate things really well. And not that I want to debunk it because I believe, but, I kind of want to do like the process of elimination. Like, okay, for sure it wasn't this or that.
Right.
It has to be this. You know what I mean? That type of thing.
Do you think, because I know you live in South Texas, right?
Yes, right at the border.
Okay. Do you think, say for example, you came up to East Texas and I took you to an area that I thought potentially could have Bigfoot? Do you think you can tune in to a Bigfoot's energy?
I'd be so down to go. First off,
I think I know which area you're talking about.
Yeah.
I definitely want to go Bigfoot hunting for sure.
Would you feel, I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but would you feel confident enough to have energy to say, okay, a Bigfoot was here, I know they're here, or I can maybe channel with one, or maybe like that? Or
I would definitely try to see if I could channel, and even if you couldn't channel, just to pick up an energy of something being here.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, I'd definitely go.
That's awesome. I think that's the first time I ever asked that question.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
So
we want to put your skills to use.
You what?
I wouldn't spend the night in the woods, though. I have a fear of being in a tent and a real person coming in and shooting us or something.
Yeah.
But I definitely go and explore.
You're totally right on that. I'm more scared of people out there than I am.
Yeah,
so.
I've always wanted to go to the Alopecia Mountains and not just for Bigfoot, but I mean, there's a lot of paranormal phenomenon. One, 100% it's filled with ghosts and other cryptics. And, aliens. I'd love to. I wouldn't be scared to stay there and spend a night there. I'm just scared of the actual people. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
To sleep there, someone with a gun or whatever. But no, I think that's, a place I'd love to explore. But yeah, for sure we can't separate. Okay, guys?
Yes,
we're
absolutely.
all shooting together.
Yep. That's what I was saying.
I wanted to ask, I don't think I've ever asked any medium this one, but, what are your thoughts on ley lines?
I don't know. I've never really messed with ley lines too much.
Because I don't think they're close to us at all in Texas, but they're these imaginary lines that kind of line up with, say, the pyramids or Stonehenge or the
we definitely don't have any here, that's for sure.
Right.
But listen, I feel like a lot of this stuff with the pyramids and everything, obviously, there's so much stuff to uncover, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of the world's history, like secrets, are in there. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's another place I'd also love to explore. Uh, that'd be one of my top places I would love to do an investigation. Again, not necessarily spirits, although I would definitely want to check for that,
Hmm.
whoever's buried in the pyramids, but also whatever type of phenomenon is in there. So that's something one of my top things I would love to do.
Do you think if you were to go to like the pyramids that you would get bombarded with like spirits?
I would hope so.
Okay.
I would be so ecstatic. I want to know. I want to know the truth.
Because there's probably like some stuff that's down there is probably not human, probably. So
Oh, absolutely. And that thing goes all the way down. It's not just, that's just the surface, what we're
yeah,
seeing in the pyramid,
yeah.
So there's just so much down there to explore.
We're coming on an hour, almost an hour, like 8 minutes to an hour. Is
That
there?
went fast.
It did. It went really fast.
It did.
And I'm really, really happy with this episode. I just want you to know I'm super smiling right now. So I'm so happy to have you on.
And we didn't even talk about divination work, so that's another one for another episode maybe down the line.
We got to have you back on, most definitely. Is there anything? Okay. Do you like to be contacted? Is there a way our listeners can contact you or reach out to you or just find whatever that you're doing, or are you selling any kind of products or merch or anything like that?
Yeah, they can reach me on my Instagram. It's Moongirl Mistress of the Paranormal. And they can also reach me on my Facebook public page, same name, Moongirl Mistress of the Paranormal. I believe on YouTube it's Moongirl Paranormal, or if not, Moongirl Mistress of the Paranormal. What else? I think I have TikTok when they stop hacking my TikTok. I think it's the same thing too. Moongirl Mistress of the
Okay.
Paranormal as well. And I post some of my paranormal investigations there with some really cool evidence. And I also post a lot of my divination work, whether it be Chinese face readings or, numerology, astrology, Chinese astrology, Vietnamese astrology, tea leaf readings, bone readings, shell readings, toothpick readings, Nepholomancy. I'm sure I do plenty of others. And y'all can catch me there and check it out. And book a reading if you want.
We didn't even talk about any of that.
The
readings, yeah.
part 2, part 3. We're gonna have
Good Lord. I'm so sorry.
Pick a subject. Yeah. Pick a subject.
I think I was just so excited about talking to you.
Dream interpretation. That's another one I love talking about.
Yes.
So because look, a lot of people come to me as a medium, like tell me, hey, look, I dreamt my loved one was this, and really excited. It was a visitation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them, well, let me hear the dream. And then unfortunately, sometimes I have to tell them, no, it was not a visitation. It was a dream. Other times, absolutely, it was a visitation, but not always. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, it hurts me to burst their bubble, but I'm never going to lie to people. Now, the difference with that is... well, here, a little bit of this. Now, the little voice you hear in your head 24 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
Then you go to sleep. It turns into, your dreams. So you're still kind of like getting those little downloads that you're having that conversation with yourself. But when you're dreaming, it's more into like symbolisms and, you know what I mean? Everything means something, whatever color. Unless you are someone who's blind, you'll actually hear things. Yeah. Which is another interesting thing. Anyways, and usually, okay, I'll break it down to this way. Like, say you dream your grandma you were sick, and you dream your grandma who passed away, and she told you, "Hey, take this medicine." And you wake up, and you're like, "Oh my God, it was my grandma." No, it wasn't your grandma. It was you taking on the persona of your grandmother, because grandma knows best, and this is what she's giving you. So it wasn't a visitation. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And other times it actually is a visitation, but it depends on what symbolism and what you're telling me your dream is.
Okay,
But a lot of times you will come in, ask the person because
Okay.
that's what your subconscious is trying to make you. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot. So,
Okay.
Steven's mom passed in 2006,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
I would have this reoccurring dream of her
Mhm.
for some reason. And we talked about this on the last podcast too.
I think so. Yeah.
So I would have
Here's
this.
the thing.
Huh?
Everything is different. Everything's a little bit different. So
Right.
we would probably have to go by.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine. I had this recurring dream of like
Mhm.
I couldn't tell where we're at. I think it was like either a mall or it was an airport, but it had a second level. And this was after she passed. So she would be on the second level waving at me. And I would tell her, go stay right there, don't move. And there wasn't like any stairs or elevator close by. So I had to run down like a few stores down to find a stairwell. And I would run up the stairwell and I would go to the spot where she was at and she was gone. And I would have her this reoccurring dream probably like for 3 straight weeks.
Okay. That was not a visitation.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm sorry. That was more your subconscious, kind of like I wish I could reach her, like she didn't pass away. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I could have done more for her. So that would not be a visitation. If that's the same dream you had.
Yes.
You know, of course, if there was other details, I would say no, it was a visitation. So this is you, not to say that you're guilty, but wishing kind of like, I wish I could have done more, or I wish I could have done something, or to reach to this person, you know.
I've done a lot of stuff for her, but I always wanted to do more for her all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go.
She was an amazing lady, and she raised me, so I just always wanted to do. I didn't feel like I did enough for her, so
No, I'm sure she thinks you did.
okay.
No,
Yeah.
it's kind of like you, in a way, feeling guilty, even though you really don't have anything to feel guilty about.
Right.
Like, I wish I could have done more, and those type of things. But no, it was you
Okay.
dreaming her, taking her home that way. Yeah.
I got one more favor to ask of you.
Okay.
I need a soundbite from you.
A what?
A soundbite.
Oh, okay. So do you want me to say that we are in we're the Bigfoot Club or something?
Yes, I was wanting you to say, "Hey, this is Moon Girl. And you're listening to the Bigfoot Club Podcast, cryptid sports entertainment for life."
Oh my gosh, that's going to be a lot for me to memorize.
You can-
I'm going to have to write this down.
No, you
Hold on.
you can do the first part, and then we'll
edit it,
and then I'll edit it, and then I'll make it sound like it's all together.
Does a good job.
So
Okay, let's do it.
okay,
Hey guys, this is Moon Girl, and you're listening to Bigfoot Club Podcast, cryptic sports entertainment for life.
yes,
Nice.
okay, okay, all right, all
I was
right.
like, I am not going to memorize that big ass line in time.
And I'm sorry, I always apologize to everybody, but that's the.
Well, look at my name. Look how long mine is. It's Moon Girl, Mistress of the Paranormal. They're like, God damn, that's a really long name. I'm like, I know it. But it's my homage to Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, because I'm obsessed with her.
That's
In
what I
my
was thinking.
mind-
I tell
in
people.
my mind, I think I'm the Mexican Elvira. Let me be delusional.
That's
okay?
exactly what I was explaining to people this week. I said she's like the Mexican version of Elvira.
I didn't call that I wish, but I really have been called that on some podcasts, and it was very key. Obviously, I wish I was, but it was,
Right.
it's kind of an homage to her because I'm obsessed with her. I think she's everything. She's still gorgeous after all these years, and most girls wanted to be Miss America. I wanted to be fucking Elvira, man, with amazing jugs like her. But
I love you
can't
more
always get
now.
what you want,
Yeah.
I love you more
but
now.
equate version.
Yes.
That's
Let me
awesome.
dream.
Do you have any
And then,
shout
of
outs?
course, the paranormal stuff. So yeah.
Do you have any shout outs to anybody?
I don't know. I don't think I do.
Okay.
Shout out to Elvira.
Elvira, yeah.
Oh, okay, yes. Shout out to Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. You are the goddess.
So that's probably why I said that too. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking that the whole time. Okay. All right. Sorry. Moon Girl, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We're probably going to have you back on. I just want you to know that right now.
Yep.
Okay, we'll pick a subject.
Okay.
We'll pick
Yes, ma'am. All right.
And then we'll get into like Chinese phase readings, which is
Yes.
freaking amazing. That's one of my favorite things
Okay.
to talk about
Deal.
divination.
Deal. We'll do it next time. We'll do it maybe in a month. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye, guys.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you
Bye.
for having me.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow.
We're still recording.
Yes, I know.
So we're going to end it with
Good night. Oh, no, wait. Do you have any shout outs?
shout out to Blair and the boys and Maya and Angel.
Maya and Angel. Yes. Shout out to them. Quick shout out to Kathy DeBueller.
Yes.
We love you. If you need us, I talked to her this week. And Kathy, if you need us, you have my number. Text me, call me. I'll probably call you too, and I'll probably call and check up on you. Shout out to everybody else that's listening to the show. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Good night and goodbye.